Lights out on the hour. It is the hour of the time. Lights out for the curfew of your body, soul, and mind. What you just heard is a warning. I'm William Cooper, and you're listening to the hour of the time. Let's go to Phoenix for the Metal Report. Good evening, Gene.
Good evening, Bill.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, folks. You need to heed the warning because, as in our paper, you all know what happened to Bill a week or so ago. Well, it happened to another young man. Maybe Bill will elaborate on it later, but they pepper gassed him, and this time it killed somebody. So we live in a really dangerous place anymore.
Yes, we do.
The metals. Let's see here what's going on. Gold today had a high of 387.20, a low of 385.80, and the close at 386.10, down $1.40. Silver had a high of 541, a low of 537 to close at 537, down 6 cents. Platinum had a high of 413.10 and a low of 410 to close at 413.40, down $2.30. And the Dow had a high of 39.20.50 and a low of 38.88.80 to close at 38.98.80. Up $17.80. The news I shared with you last week in regard to the legislation on IRAs, and as it concerns numismatic coins, seems to be still in place. They've recessed as of right now for Labor Day from our contact in Louisiana, so that they'll be taking this up now that the crime bill has passed. They'll be taking this up after Labor Day, and sometime between now and the 1st of October it'll probably be passed. And in the meantime, the coins seem to be doing very, very strong. That's about it for tonight, Bill.
Well, thank you, Gene. Folks, make sure that you call tonight. You know how you like to procrastinate. Do it. Call Gene Miller.
One thing, when you call, make sure, especially when you call at night, identify yourself as a William Cooper listener. It sure helps us out a lot.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And not only that, you get a lot better treatment if you do that, folks. Remember, they back this program. They pay for the airtime, and they come to my aid when I need it. So call them, 1-800-289-2646. Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Bill.
Good night.
Good night.
Make sure you've got pen and paper handy, folks. Tonight, I'm going to send chills up your spine. So take your clothes off and get comfortable. Tonight is Raw Intelligence.
Everybody knows that the war is over. Everybody knows that the good guys lost. Everybody knows the fight is fixed. The poor stay poor and the rich get rich. That's how it goes. Everybody knows the boat is sinking. Everybody knows that the captain's right. Everybody's got this grudging feeling like the mama or the dog just died. Everybody's hands are in their pockets. Everybody wants a box of chocolates and a long stem rose. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. That's how it goes. Everybody knows.
Yes, everybody knows. As I travel around this country, people tell me that something doesn't feel right. Something is terribly wrong. They want to know what it is. Well, if they would just open their eyes and look around, they could see. Before I get into the meat of tonight, I want to let you know that I'll be in Los Angeles this weekend, September 3rd and 4th, at the Extraordinary Experiences Research Exposition at the Airport Marina Hotel. For information, call 213-850-8919. That's 213-850-8919. Or you can call 310-454-6034. That's 310-454-6034. I'll be speaking on Saturday. I believe I have a workshop Saturday and one on Sunday. And folks, just like the conference we had here, what you're going to learn if you attend one of these workshops is going to blow your mind. Also, we're experiencing heavy jamming, open carriers. That's when somebody cranks up a powerful transmitter, keys the microphone, tapes it open, and lays it down. So call the FCC when you hear jamming and complain loudly. The number is 308-381-4721. That's 308-381-4721. One more time, 308-381-4721. The other number to call is 202-632-6975. That's 202-632-6975. Call both of those numbers if and when you call. If you experience jamming when you hear this program, it means that the content of this broadcast is seriously hurting those who oppose us. And so they attempt to jam us. Report it to the FCC. Demand that they stop the jamming. To back it up, call your congressman and your senator. Demand that they put pressure on the FCC to stop the jamming. They usually do that right. In Phoenix, this is the Arizona Republic, Tuesday, August 30th, 1994. Man turned life around only to lose it. 3 months before he died, Edward Mallett conducted a grim show and tell for Phoenix students. He rolled up his pants legs and showed them how his membership in the 19th Avenue Crips gang had cost him his legs, both legs. The 4 to 9-year-olds were properly aghast. He also told the children at Constitution Elementary School that he gave up his membership in the Crips after serving 3 months in 1991 at Arizona State Prison on drug charges. He told the children that he was weary of the danger, the fights, the confrontations with police. But on Saturday night, Mallett, who had been recruited by a Head Start program to gang-proof kids, died after one last brush with police. Phoenix officers used pepper spray to subdue him after they stopped him and his 2 passengers at a Circle K at 27th and Campbell Avenues. Mallett began gasping for air after he was sprayed and died later at Phoenix Baptist Hospital and Medical Center. He was the second in 3 weeks to die after being spritzed with a stinging gas. Same gas, ladies and gentlemen, used on me, my wife, and little Pooh, confined to a hotel room. Now maybe you'll understand how serious this is. This gas is so dangerous, it's killed so many people that it's been outlawed in several states. The Courier, serving Donna Ana, Grant, Luna, Sierra, Socorro, Catron, Valencia, and Hidalgo counties, New Mexico. Volume 18, number 33, August 18, 1994. Shotgun put to head of 3-year-old child by Bureau of Land Management Ranger. Shotgun put to the head of a 3-year-old child by Bureau of Land Management Ranger. Rangers also allegedly shot out a car tire, maced the driver twice, kicked one woman, stomped another, and broke her ankle, and told family members that they would have their heads blown off. What those Rangers allegedly did is no surprise to me. Many of them are thugs, goons, and misfits, dumb as a rock, dangerous, and believe they are above the law. This is a prime example of how things will be with the new federal police force. Big Brother has arrived. That comment is from a recently retired Bureau of Land Management employee. Santa Cruz Lake, Lorenzo E. Atencio, an Espanola attorney, has filed a formal written complaint with United States Attorney John J. Kelly at Albuquerque on behalf of 6 adults and 2 3-year-old children. That Atencio says Bureau of Land Management Rangers, that's BLM law enforcement officers, terrorized and brutalized on July 24th at Santa Cruz Lake when the Rangers allegedly attacked, beat, and arrested the family near Chameo in northern New Mexico. According to Atencio, in his written complaint sent to Kelly, he represents Willie Moya, 48, Yolanda Moya, 49, Louis Moya, 27, Tony Moya, 25, Ernie Saucedo, 23, Antoinette Cordova, 19, Ernest Saucedo Jr., and Anthony Saucedo Jr., both 3 years old. Willie and Yolanda are the parents of Louis and Tony and Ernie's in-laws. Ernest and Anthony are the 3-year-old grandchildren of Willie and Yolanda. Antoinette is Louis' girlfriend. They are all residents of Rio Arriba County. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just one little skirmish. There will be many more to come. They will get worse and worse and worse. The ranger who did this was not arrested. Was not arrested. As far as we know, charges have not been filed against them. FBI Director Louis Freeh laid the foundation for an international law enforcement campaign to combat organized crime on a global basis. Cooperation key to foiling the new threat. FBI enters global battle on organized crime. Special report, The Washington Times, Tuesday, July 19, 1994. Not every expert, though, is convinced the situation is bleak. Internationalization of United States law enforcement can be judged a success. They are in the process of combining the law enforcement agencies of what used to be the Soviet Union with the United States of America. You better listen to me. You better understand what I'm telling you. Remember what I told you about Freemasonry. This is a letter. Can't tell you who it's from, but I'm going to read you the letter. The chairman of the gun club I belong to urged that members send for a book from the state capitol at Harrisburg. He wanted us to know the circumstances where we are lawfully permitted to use deadly force to defend ourselves, our family, or our property. It was while reading this book, Title 18, Crimes and Offenses, that I came across Section 6704, 1 and 4 and 5, which gives special protection under color of law to Masonic organizations. I took your advice when you dared listeners to verify the information you broadcast through research. I have read The Lost Keys of Freemasonry and The Secret of Hiram Abiff. It does say that they, quote, harness the power of Lucifer, end quote, through the practice of Freemasonry. The laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania confirm their influence in government. If you judge this letter to be fit to broadcast, you may do so by admitting my last name. I would ask you to request that the citizens of the other 49 states check their respective state statutes to see if legal protection is given to the secret societies through their state laws. Not only state folks, but they have special protection under federal law. This is, ladies and gentlemen, Pennsylvania Consolidated Statutes, Title 18, Crimes and Offenses, 1990 edition, containing all provisions enacted through Act 1990 through 223 of the 1990 legislative session. Published and prepared under authority of Title I, Pennsylvania Consolidated Statutes, Section 501, by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Legislative Reference Bureau, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, December 31st, 1990. Chapter 67, Proprietary and Official Rights. 6704, Fraud on Association Having Grand Lodge. Down under 6704, Fraud on Association Having Grand Lodge. A person is guilty of a summary offense if, without the authority of the Grand Lodge described in this section, he fraudulently uses in any manner the name or title of any secret fraternal organization which has had a Grand Lodge having jurisdiction in this Commonwealth for at least 10 years. Imitates such name or title with intent to deceive. Wears or uses any insignia of such association with intent to deceive. Publishes or distributes in any manner, any written or printed matter, soliciting applications for membership in such secret fraternal association or any alleged association claiming to be known by such title or by a title in imitation or resemblance of such title, or sells or gives or offers to sell or give any information as to how any alleged degree, secret work, or secret of such fraternal association or of any alleged association claiming to be known by such title or by a title in imitation or resemblance of such title may be obtained. Do you understand what I just read? Extract the Banker's Manifest. Printed from the Banker's Manifest for private circulation among leading bankers only. Civil Servants Yearbook, The Organizer, January 1934, and The New American, February 1934. Extract. Quote, capital must protect itself in every way, through combination and through legislation. Debts must be collected and loans and mortgages foreclosed as soon as possible. When through a process of law the common people lost their homes, they will be more tractable and more easily governed by the strong arm of the law applied by the central power of wealth under control of leading financiers. People without homes will not quarrel with their leaders. This is well known among our principal men now engaged in forming an imperialism of capital to govern the world. By dividing the people, we can get them to expend their energies in fighting over questions of no importance to us except as teachers of the common herd. Thus, by discreet action, we can secure for ourselves what has been generally planned and successfully accomplished. Did any of you hear the G-Man Gordon Liddy radio show last Friday, the 26th of August? He had on the editor from Modern Gun magazine to talk about his editorial in the current bright orange issue. G-Man read the editorial after the gun ban crime bill passed. In it, the author had sent a letter to Dole and several congressmen and senators to plead with them to stop the gun ban madness. He gave facts that every firearm company was back-ordered into late 1995. There was a shortage of all types of gunpowder, bullets, clips, primers, and guns. They had sold more in the first 3 months of 1994 than any year in history. A foreign manufacturer's rep had attended a trade show hoping to sell 9 million 9mm bullets and came out in 3 hours with 90 million in sales orders. He had talked to many high-ups with the military, police chiefs, and industry experts. They all were aware of what was going on and were worried. He had called several congressional aides, and upon telling them of the story, asked, quote, "Do you think these people are planning on turning them in when your socialist gun bans pass?" End quote. He had been contacted by many ex and current military people and policemen who were actively planning for war. These veterans were not the women and kids of Waco, but were trained and experienced at killing in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, Panama, Grenada, and were ready to defend the Constitution from the socialists in Washington, D.C. They would not let another Waco happen again. I have told you that repeatedly. We will not ever allow another Waco to happen again. Now the real scary part. He had received a letter from a Vietnam Special Forces CIA veteran who had been in Project Phoenix, where they assassinated 20,000 political and military leaders and their relatives. This vet said his group was planning a preemptive Project Phoenix against the American media and government gun grabbers if this did not stop. G. Gordon Liddy and the editor went on to discuss how, if this had happened in Germany against the propaganda media machine and the brown shirts, then World War II could have been avoided. They both said they saw this second American Revolution as a sure bet and did not see a way out unless we throw out all the traitors in November. Gordon went on and on about setting up a 1-800 number for patriots to call for backup the next time the BATF attacks. He said, be sure and ask them to drop their guns, and if they swing them your way, use headshots and take them out. Now, I was in shock Friday and sat there with my mouth on the floor as I heard a national radio show going on to 20 million people openly talking about armed insurrection. I pray to God we never get to this, but I'm sort of glad to hear that our veterans are waking up and are ready to protect and defend the Constitution against any threats, both foreign and domestic. As I said in my fax to my congressmen and senators, they have awakened a sleeping giant, the same one that defeated the rising sun, the American common man. Regards, Paul. Thank you, Paul, for that report. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is from The Signal and the U.S. Army, published for Fort Gordon in the U.S. Army, Fort Gordon, Georgia. Fort Gordon, Georgia. Russian visit. Major General Douglas D. Buchholz welcomes General Colonel G.P. Gitchkin, Chief of the Communications Corps, Russian Armed Forces, to Fort Gordon. Russians visit post. Share communications. Wake up, sheeple. U.S. Marines encounter resistance at Tybee Island by Marcus Holland, Morris News Service. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tybee Island, the United States Marine Corps has disgraced itself forever in the eyes of patriots of the United States of America, and they have landed again, this time on Tybee at the mouth of the Savannah River. The late-night landing was labeled an anti-terrorist exercise, but apparently it did terrorize residents in the neighborhood near the old Tybee Island Elementary School. Mallory Pierce said he was frightened. A real invasion is how he described the exercise that had troops running through his yard and helicopters hovering over his home. I was scared and mad, he said. Mr. Pierce said the helicopters hovered about 50 feet over my house, creating a tremendous windstorm during the exercise. The housetop was rattling, a tree branch fell in my yard, and troops came rushing through my property with guns drawn, he said. They, the troops, were hiding in bushes with weapons. I presumed they were loaded. A Marine spokesman said the weapons were not loaded. I wouldn't believe him if he put $1 million in front of me and backed it up with that money. Quote, I went outside and told the people in charge to stop this, that it was tearing up my property. Mr. Pierce said, one of them handed me a claims sheet and said to fill it out if I had damage, but that they couldn't stop the exercise. The Marine assault team involved in last weekend's exercise was from the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, said Lieutenant Jeff Jurgensen of the Camp Lejeune Public Affairs Office. The purpose of such an exercise is to provide Marines the opportunity to practice evacuating U.S. citizens who might be held against their will by terrorists. Ladies and gentlemen, these days, now, terrorist is a code word for patriot. It is a code word for those of us who will resist the overthrow of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the institution of world government. Such missions are absolutely vital, Lieutenant Jurgensen said. In the past 2 years, Marines have used such training to evacuate U.S. citizens at Mogadishu, Somalia, and Monrovia, Liberia. Both of those exercises they severely screwed up, if you will remember. About 300 of the Marines' 2,300 troops involved with Expeditionary Unit exercises have been participating in training in the area, Lieutenant Jurgensen said. The unit's troops are designed to be fast-reacting and quickly deployable to hot spots. And it goes on and on and on. It was terrifying. It was terrible. Catron County orders guns in every home. Catron County, New Mexico. This is from the Sun News, Las Cruces, New Mexico, Wednesday, August 3rd, 1994. Catron County orders guns in every home by Clyde Foster. It's official. All heads of household in Catron County must maintain a firearm in the residence. There it is, folks. You can do the same thing in your counties. You have to put a lot of pressure on the county supervisors, but you can do it. The county is the highest government law enforcement office in the land. Soldiers were trained with backpack nukes. Remember, I told you this a long time ago. Small nuclear weapons were developed years ago, ladies and gentlemen. It was never any secret to those of us in the intelligence branch of the government. By Frank Grieve, Knight Ridder Newspapers, Wednesday, July 27, 1994, the Times-Picayune. Washington. For many years, American commandos were assigned to volunteer teams with the suicidal mission of detonating small nuclear weapons at close range, according to military sources. The so-called Green Light Army demolition squads were supposed to deliver, arm, and then watch the device until it went off to assure the enemy forces did not interfere with the explosion, said a former Special Forces member trained in the mission. These were backpack nuclear weapons. If that meant staying inside the hydroelectric plant, standing 20 feet away from the warhead, that's where you stayed, he said. It was suicide, and we all knew it. Suicide missions for United States soldiers with small backpack nuclear weapons. Retired Army Major General David Einzel, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Atomic Energy from 1980 to 1985, confirmed the Green Light Team's assignment. Man-portable nuclear warheads were not the weapon of choice, and it had to be a very worthwhile mission or you weren't going to set it off in the first place, Einzel said. George Grimes, spokesman for the U.S. Special Operations Command, said he could not discuss the capabilities of forces assigned to the command. The Special Forces member trained in nuclear detonation asked not to be identified because, he said, he had signed confidentiality agreements while in the Army program. Anything that is blatantly illegal, unconstitutional, and this terrible is not bound by any oath or any promise, I can assure you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're standing on the edge of a great precipice. A great, great precipice. Now listen to this very, very carefully and make sure that you understand what you're hearing. I'm going to tell you right now that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms has no domestic jurisdiction whatsoever. Are you listening to me? The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms has no domestic jurisdiction whatsoever. They are operating under the color of law, 100% illegally. You see, the United States 7th Circuit Court of Appeals has decided that the notorious neo-Nazi Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, agents of which murdered and burned alive over 80 people in what has come to be known as the Waco Massacre in Waco, Texas, has no domestic jurisdiction. Attorney Larry Becraft sent a page from U.S. versus F.J. Vollmer and Nevius, One Federal Reporter, 3rd Series, page 1511, 1993, 7th Circuit, cite as 11F, 3rd, 1511. Court ruled that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms had no domestic jurisdiction after first-time imported weapons are sold in the United States. Read it and draw your own conclusions. If the BATF has no domestic jurisdiction, what were they doing raiding the Branch Davidians in Waco? When in hell is someone in authority going to start asking the right questions or asking any questions at all? And why is it that the defense attorneys for the Branch Davidians never brought this up? You see, it is my belief that the Branch Davidians were not properly defended at all. Folks, a club for children, the 4-H club, canceled due to lack of leader certification. Why? Why, folks? Because the Youth Protection Program, which went into effect on October 1st, 1992, requires all volunteers supervising youth in the Arkansas 4-H program to abide by this program, and it requires that. They got a whole bunch of requirements I'm not even going to get into that are bad before we even get to this. Now listen to this. Item 3, prospective volunteers and volunteers starting after October 1st, 1992 must complete Form CES 164, Authorization for Release of Confidential Information, and submit it to the Extension Notary to be notarized and filed with the responsible extension agent. This requests the law enforcement and social civil service agency record checks to be submitted to the office of the director. This information must be completed, processed, and returned from the state prior to a volunteer being a 4-H leader in Washington County. So they closed down the program because no one in their right mind would ever consent to such a thing. Village Polk training site to cost $12 million. This is from the Alexandria Daily Town Talk. The Alexandria Daily Town Talk. By Raymond L. Day, staff reporter, Fort Polk, Louisiana. It may look like a central Louisiana pine forest now, but soon a third world village will begin to take shape. Listen very closely, folks, to the description of this third world village. By November 1995, the village of Shugart Gordon will be complete, and about 6 months later, it can expect to be overrun with armed soldiers and armored vehicles. The $12 million Military Operations on Urban Terrain Training Center will be the premier facility of its kind in the world. 2 Army generals said during groundbreaking ceremonies Friday. Brigadier General Lawson W. Magruder III, commander of the Joint Readiness Training Center. That's the Joint Readiness Training Center. And who do you think the joint means? It means foreign military forces under the United Nations. Joint Readiness Training Center at Fort Polk, Louisiana was joined by former JRTC Commander Major General George A. Fisher. Fisher, now commander of the 25th Light Infantry, was fortunately in town while the 25th undergoes training at the JRTC. Plans for the Urban Warfare Training Area, that's Urban Warfare Training Area, were first proposed while Fisher was in command of the JRTC at Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, and when it was moved to Fort Polk as part of the 1992 base closure and realignment program. United Nations Ambassador to the United Nations, Madeleine Albright, is scheduled to visit Fort Polk this weekend, and General John Shalakashvili, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is expected to visit Fort Polk on Sunday. A JRTC peace enforcement training exercise is now underway at Fort Polk. The total MOUT project will cost almost $20 million and be constructed in 3 phases between now and 1997. The first phase will be the construction of the 29-building village, a 5-building military compound, a short distance
south of the village, and a 3-building airfield about 2 miles northwest of the village. Those 3 construction projects will cost about $12 million. The next 2 phases will incorporate latest technology in targetry, communications, and control instruments in the training areas that will cost about $6.7 million. The village is named after Master Sergeant Gary I. Gordon and Specialist First Class Randall D. Shugart, who were killed in action in Somalia while attempting to rescue fellow members of Task Force Rangers. Shugart Gordon will have several houses, a hotel, a hospital, town hall, police station, post office, and several other structures. An underground sewer tunnel passage will connect the town hall, police station, and post office. The hotel will be the only building in town where a helicopter can land. A soccer field on the edge of town will also be a likely landing place for invading forces. The groundbreaking took place near where the town's water tower will be erected. The water tank will actually be an observation point where visiting officials and JRTC operations people can watch and film the battle engagements. Those videotaped performances will be reviewed by unit commanders to determine what their troops did right and what they did wrong in carrying out their assigned missions. Magruder said the village will be built to resemble what troops would expect to find in an emerging third world nation. That's right, folks. A hotel, a football field, a post office, a police station. In Rwanda? The roofs of the buildings will be flat, he said. The lessons learned in the MOUT complex will build confidence and save lives. If American soldiers are called upon to engage in house-to-house urban warfare. Although its principal mission will be to train infantry, special forces, and airborne troops will also be armor-capable. Listen to this. With concrete streets and helicopter accessible with a rooftop helipad on the hotel and the soccer field. During training exercises, civilian role players will take up 24-hour residence in the village. Soldiers who burst into a house in search of an enemy will come face to face with the family, just as they would in real battle situations. A typical scenario would be the U.S. forces take over this town. But then there is a hostile military compound nearby and an enemy airfield to contend with, Magruder said. How do you resolve the problems that position poses? The answer to that and many other questions will be answered over and over for thousands of United States and foreign soldiers who will use the new Shugart-Gordon complex. What they described is not a third world village. What they described is St. John's, Arizona, Show Low, Arizona. Any town in Illinois, Texas, New Jersey. And you had better understand that. They are rehearsing for peacekeeping in the United States, ladies and gentlemen. The Arizona Republic, Saturday, August 20th, 1994. Poor kids lose again. Lack of phones keeps them off the information highway. Remember what I told you about the information highway? Listen to this. The Washington Post. Modern society's most basic communication tool, the telephone, is missing from the homes of millions of young children in this country, particularly poor minority children, according to recently compiled census figures. The statistics children's and consumer advocates say underscore the potential for poor children to be isolated from a range of services available by telephone, from latchkey hotlines to the next wave of technology, the information superhighway. I can tell you that I access the information superhighway. I access CompuServe and America Online and several other major databases. In fact, that's what I was doing for most of today. And I can tell you that even if these poor kids had phones in their homes, they could not afford to access the information superhighway, not in a million years. It costs a fortune. A study of 1990 census figures prepared by demographer William P. O'Hare at the Annie E. Casey Foundation indicates that nearly 10% of children under age 6 live in homes without phones. But among black children, the figure is more than 20%, and among Native American children, it rises to nearly 36%. For children under 6 living in poverty, nearly 30% have no phone available, 6 times the figure for non-poor children. O'Hare's figures indicate that children in rental units in immigrant families and in single-parent homes are much more likely to be without phones than other children. Just over 6% of children in married couple families are without phones, compared with 22% of those with single parents. That's an argument for the family, I can assure you. Although poor children and those in single-parent families may be those most likely to have no telephones, they are also those most in need of some services offered by phone, including homework, tutoring, and help for latchkey children. Teachers are unable to call parents of these children, and working parents cannot check to see that their children arrive home safely for school. Remember, folks, we're talking about children. Children, ladies and gentlemen, under school age. Remember? Children under 6. Children under 6. Now listen to this. They also are those most in need of some services offered by phone, including homework, tutoring, and help for latchkey children. Teachers are unable to call parents of these children, and working parents cannot check to see that their children arrive home safely from school. Kids without a phone in their home are at a distinct disadvantage, O'Hare said. Remember, they're talking about children under 6 living in poverty. So what's this all about? It's about getting access to your home by the government through the information highway, making sure that nobody gets anything other than the information that they're supposed to get. They don't give a damn about those kids any more than they gave a damn about those kids in the home occupied by the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas. Elko, Daily Free Press, Elko, Nevada, Tuesday, June 28, 1994. This is the article I told you about, ladies and gentlemen, but this was before the fact. The county commissioner named Carver, Dick Carver, he was going to take a county bulldozer up Jefferson Canyon in the Tokima Range and reopen a road the U.S. government once closed. It's a county road. The government said no. He said yes. They threatened. He called their bluff. He went up there and got on the bulldozer and started. They went for their guns. The sheriff pulled his gun. Local ranchers pulled their guns. The feds have not been back as of yet. This is from a group of people, ladies and gentlemen, which was sent to all members of the United States Senate and all members of the House of Representatives, and the title is "We Have Drawn the Line." And I quote, "We are sick of government efforts to restrict our right to keep and bear arms. We will no longer beg you to uphold the Constitution. We will no more plead that you respect our rights. We gun owners will accept no more gun control. The debate is over. We draw the line. If you deny our unalienable rights and outlaw any weapons, ammunition, or firearms accessories, we will not obey your law. If you ever come to get our guns, we will oppose force with force. 70 million gun owners will not voluntarily turn in their weapons. Perhaps 35 million or 50% will comply under threat or force. But 35 million or 50% will not comply. They will keep and conceal their weapons for future use. More than 7 million, 10%, have already prepared for civil war. Millions across this nation now believe that an armed struggle for freedom may be inevitable. 700,000 or 1%, including many veterans, law enforcement personnel, and well-trained civilians, will begin to fight against the elitist one-worlders who now control the government, the media, and the nation's finances, and who are sacrificing United States sovereignty for a United Nations world government. Patriots know who the traitors are and will never submit to the emerging police state here in America. We speak not from the extreme fringe, but rather as responsible, working, productive, God-fearing citizens who love their country and its Constitution. If rebellion, revolution, or civil war comes to America, it will have been caused by a government out of control, a government which has lost the understanding that it is the servant of the people and the guarantor of their liberties, not their master and oppressor. You, the Congress, authorize, fund, and control the government. You will be responsible for the tragedy. No compromises or halfway measures will be tolerated. All gun control legislation, including those that are included in the present crime bill, must be rejected now and in the future. We have spoken for the last time, sovereign citizens of the United States. And I quote, "The strongest reason for the people to retain the right to keep and bear arms is, as a last resort, to protect themselves from the tyranny of government," end quote. Thomas Jefferson, President of the United States of America, said that. The crime bill. The crime bill. Listen to these statistics. Shades of gray, folks. And this is from the Arizona Republic, Saturday, August 27th, 1994. I quote from page B4. As far as the other contentious issue in the crime bill, the ban on some 19 assault weapons, even gun controllers would admit, if honest, that the ban will have little or no impact on crime. As the Wall Street Journal pointed out the other day, a Trenton, New Jersey deputy police chief told a Senate panel that assault weapons had been used in, get this, 0.026 of 1% of crimes committed in his state. That's 0.026 of 1% of crimes committed in his state. This means, he said, my officers are more likely to confront an escaped tiger from the local zoo than to confront an assault rifle in the hands of a drug-crazed killer on the streets. This is from the Associated Press. Get this. Satellite photos sought in North Carolina murder case from the Charlotte Observer, August 11, 1994. Quote, "What we're looking for is a photograph that will show us the person standing beside the trash can that held Pamela Sanders' body. If you have any doubts about the technology we face, you had better put those doubts away. The technology is formidable, but we can overcome it if we are smart. And that means getting rid of the sheeple factor, shedding that wool coat, standing on your two hind feet, starting to research, form your militias, join the Constitution Party, work hard for our liberties, for we are standing on the edge of a great precipice over which, if we fall, we will never climb out of, I can assure you. You may call for information at 1-800-932-9888. That's 1-800-932-9888. Or you can write the Constitution Party, Post Office Box 7565, Beverly Hills, California, 90212. That's the Constitution Party, Post Office Box 7565, Beverly Hills, California, 90212. I suggest that you all send for Linda Thompson's new tape, and I suggest you do it right this moment. The name of it is America Under Siege. America Under Siege. It will bring tears to your eyes. It will show you how far we have sunk. You'll see it with your own eyes. Send $28.95. $28.95 to the American Justice Federation. Now, I don't have the address, but you can get the address by calling them. Call the American Justice Federation, 1-800-749-9939. That's 1-800-749-9939. One more time. The American Justice Federation, 1-800-749-9939. Send $28.95. Ask for America Under Siege once you've called and get the address. Once again, to call the Constitution Party, it's 1-800-932-9888. Or you may write Constitution Party, Post Office Box 7565, Beverly Hills, California, 90212. Don't ever stop preparing. Don't ever stop training. Don't ever run away from this fight. Slavery, I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, is much worse than dying for a good cause, if that's what required to preserve our liberty. We've got about 3 minutes left, and we're going to go right now to the phones. Good evening, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
My name's Chris.
Talk, Chris.
Okay, well, it's nice to be on the phone. I've got a couple things to say to you. I've read your book. It's the best book I've read. I really appreciate you doing what you've done. I am a young college student I'm in Texas, at San Angelo, Texas. And you would be surprised at the stuff that these people are taking out on in these books. If you don't mind, can I just read you one sentence real quick?
Go ahead, make it quick.
It will be. It says, the almost unbelievable swift expansion of worldwide electronic communication with further spectacular developments on the near horizon makes the theory of the world as a global village, while still far from reality, a valid concept. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And I have joined the Constitution Party, and just want to let you know that we're out here for you, Mr. Cooper, and I enjoy listening to you every night, and there's just not enough we can do for you.
Well, let's do it for all of us, not for me.
You're right with that. It's for the entire American people, but you and Linda Thompson are the ones that are making the stand for us, and believe us, we're behind y'all 100%.
Wonderful. Thank you for calling.
Thanks a lot.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
602-337-2524 is the number. If you want to get a quick call in and leave your comments, we'll be happy to hear from you. Good evening. You're on the air.
Good evening. My name is Lawrence Jaster, calling you from the Sunshine State. And I just wanted to say, I've been listening to you since I bought my radio here a couple of weeks ago, and I think you need to run for president. I am so impressed with your patriotic attitude towards our country. I just had to call and say that. And also, you mentioned the other night a book, Behold the Pale Horse. I went out and bought it over the weekend, excuse me, and I've been reading it. And it is the most fascinating piece of literary work that I've ever read. And I'm wondering, sometime on your radio show, not necessarily tonight, but when you got a chance, if you could possibly elaborate for me on that protocol of the Elders of Zion. I'd really like to know a little bit more about that.
Well, that's a big subject, and one night maybe I'll get into it. It upsets an awful lot of people, but sometimes they need to be upset. You see, the validation of a plan is not who wrote it, or not who forged it, or not who people claim wrote it. I don't care about any of that. The validation of any plan is whether or not the plan was put into effect and carried out. And if you read the protocols of the wise men of Zion, you will see that that plan was not only put into place, but it was carried out, and it is acting upon us at this very moment.
Well, Mr. Cooper, God bless you, and I tell you what, if you ever run for president, you got my vote.
Well, I'll never run for president because the first thing I would do would be to shoot every member of the cabinet.
Well, now, if you need ammunition, let me know.
Okay. Thank you for calling.
Bye.
Yep, that's exactly what I would do, folks. If I were elected president, I would walk into the cabinet meeting room and I would shoot every single person sitting around that table with no hesitation whatsoever. We got time for one more phone call. Good evening. You're on the air.
Hi, Bill. I had just recently went to Gettysburg National Park, and you would not believe the obelisks that are located all around the park in numerous shapes and sizes.
Oh, yes, I would believe it. And you can go to any cemetery in any large city, and you will see hundreds of them.
One more thing, Bill. They had just recently, a year ago, in fact, this past Saturday, they put up the latest monument, and what it depicted was this. It depicted a wounded Confederate officer with a Union officer bending over and helping this Confederate officer.
Yes, both Freemasons. I know the story well.
That's correct. And it had the large Freemasonic symbol right below these two figures.
Why do you think none of the Southern generals and none of the Southern government were ever tried for treason?
That's correct, Bill. I mean, they, like the tour guide said, the Freemasonic relationship went above any type of relationship. That's why, this was shown.
And it still does.
Sure.
Thank you for calling.
Okay, Bill.
Good night.
Good night.
Now, just in case some of you out there are dying of apoplexy and getting ready to attack me again with that old cry of anti-Semitism, let me tell you, you are insane. If you've been listening to this broadcast, you know that that's not true. And if you persist in it, it will be you that is hurt in the long run and not me. I never back down from a fight, folks. If you read my book, you'll see just exactly why I printed the Protocols of the Wise Men of Zion and exactly why you must read them, whether you are Jew, Gentile, Catholic, Oriental, American Indian. It makes no difference. They pit us against each other while they are busy putting the chains upon the ankles of all of us. Good night, and God bless you all. Ladies and gentlemen, I must notify you, because we've just realized this, the MJTF police are in St. John's right now. They have a sounding band behind the Northland Pioneer College. There are many individuals of Arabic descent dressed in black uniforms. I do not know what's going to happen, but you must know this. Again, good night. God bless you all, and God save the Republic.